Avion Express experience is totally different compared to a normal airline. So this dream pilot job that used to be in the past a dreaming job, actually is a dream job only if you fly for an ACMI, and I mean, we are the biggest one, so I have many colleagues flying for other airlines, and I can tell you, they fly on the other side of the world, they spend 24 hours there, and they come back. And believe me, they are not happy about this. Because with Avion Express, you still have the chance to travel around the world and to visit the world as well. Because if you are a pilot of Avion Express and the crew planning decide to send you to Cancun, you're gonna spend 33 days in Cancun. You see this airplane, white airplane in German base flying for the client. In ACMI world, you know that is an aircraft of Avion Express. But once the passenger, which is not aware of what ACMI is, jump inside the aircraft, he will not understand. He will think he's flying for the client.
All right, so Franco, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's a pleasure to have you here. You are the chief pilot for Avion Express. You know, a very exciting role for you. And we're going to be talking about the airline. But before we do, everyone in aviation always has a unique story about how they got in, or a unique experience that kind of was the catalyst or motivation factor that got them to pursue the industry. What was that moment for you that got you to jump into aviation and stay with it?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a long time ago. When I was very young, I was planning to become a Formula One driver, which was a little bit hard to reach as a goal. That's why I started to race with go-karts when I was very young. By the time I realized that was too difficult, I stepped back I said, I can still be a pilot, or maybe airplane pilot, aircraft pilot. And something else that made me choose this, let's say, pilot history was the movie Top Gun, the first one.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And when I watched the movie Top Gun, I said, it's interesting. That's why I joined the Navy. Basically, when I finished, I started with the aeronautic high school. When I was 13 years old, I did my first flight as a pilot at 16 years old, so 33 years ago. And then since I want to follow the step of Tom Cruise in the movie, I joined the Navy, and I spent 13 years in the Navy. The first 2 years were in the USA with the US Navy, following similar, let's say, steps of Tom Cruise. And then 11 more years in Italy with the Italian Navy. And then here I am. I mean, I left in 2008, so it's already many years ago, 17 years ago.
You know, I mean, that's such a fascinating history. Okay, and if we put all those pieces together, right, you've got the influence of Formula One, go-karting, you've got the influence as well of the movie, right? You've joined the Navy. Fast forward into the future, you're the chief pilot of Avion Express, right? The largest ACMI and charter operator in the world by flight hours and by flights as well. As you took on this new role for chief pilot, which was several months ago, what were some of the initial thoughts that were going through your mind as you were stepping into this new leadership chapter?
I knew it was going to be challenges since the beginning, since many people, even high management people, they say this is the worst position in the company, because you have to face with around 500 pilots and with the office. And most of the time, the need of the pilot don't meet the need of the office, and vice versa. So it's a real challenging position, but so far I still have the enthusiasm I had on the first day, which is my fuel to keep working hard every day.
Today you're working with, and as you mentioned, your group of 500 pilots, right? When you look at the ACMI market and the industry itself, it's very diverse. It's very fast changing. You need to adapt. You need to know what you're doing as a business to deliver that value for your clients and the airlines that you fly with. From your perspective, what is or how is the ACMI model unique or different in comparison to traditional airline operations?
Yeah, the differences are so many. Starting from the roster of the pilots up to the delivering of the aircraft to the clients, it's a totally different world. The only thing that is the same from the pilot perspective is the flying the aircraft. Everything else is different. And the approach that the pilot joining us must have also must be different. Since in a traditional airline, as a pilot, you just go to your base, you rent your apartment, and you go for your flight. And then at the end of the day, most of the company nowadays they don't do layovers. So you go to from base A to airport B, then C, and then you come back. Hey, in Avion Express, you you need to have your bag need to cover all season, because one day you might be flying in Tunis with 35 degrees, and next week you are going to fly to Keflavik in Iceland with -10. So the versatility you need to have inside your mind as a pilot needs to be, let's say, big.
Mhm, mhm. On the point of versatility, and as you look at Avion as as an airline, it's a very exciting time to be flying for you right now in terms of the pilot experience. You are the first airline, now ACMI airline, with over 50 aircraft dedicated for narrow body passenger operations. First airline to serve the Mexican market for ACMI. First airline as well to set up an ACMI airline in Brazil, and the first ACMI airline with the dedicated A320 simulator.
Yes.
Now, with all these factors, which are very exciting for the pilot experience, what is your focus in terms of supporting pilots to be able to operate in such a flexible and a versatile environment within the company?
First of all, I must say that you are very well prepared, because you know a lot of goals that we met in the recent years, and yes, I'm proud of this. Regarding the support we provide to the pilots, so we have different way of supporting them. From the base captain, in each base we provide a base captain assigned by me, which is in contact with me, constant contact with me. And we provide also a sort of base booklet, which is related to the company. It's called base booklet, but it's related to the client we are going to fly for. And in this base booklet, all the pilots can find all relevant information for the client they are going to fly for. And then we provide also a sort of messages. Our SMS system covered yellow and blue messages. We send to the pilots to adapt their procedure to the new client, which most of the time are very similar. And we also provide a station manager, which is in every single base provided by the ground department, that assist the pilot in terms of issue with the, let's say, ground world, hotel, transportation. So basically, the pilot at the base has 360 degrees support from our side.
Mhm. Now, something I do want to touch on, which you did mention earlier, about you leading Avion's pool of over 500 pilots. If we expand that a bit further, that's a full crew team of over 1,200 crew members, right? And they're all operating across your base network, over 17 bays that you operate in. Now, tell us more about these main bays and how your network covers the different operations you're involved in.
Yes, regarding the bases, of course, they depend on the clients we have. We have more constant client, which let us open bases in Germany almost every year, like Hamburg, Düsseldorf, and Stuttgart in for Germany. Then we another constant, if we want to call them like that, client is in Turkey. Actually, two clients are there, in Antalya. So basically, almost every year we open a base in Antalya as well. Another belonging to the list of constant client is a Mexican client, which we cover with three bases normally: Monterrey, Mexico City, Cancun, also Guadalajara, depends on the period. In Europe, like Brussels and Rotterdam, we had a client there. We had a base open in Portugal, in Lisbon, which was something new for us this year, this summer. We have clients in Vietnam. We have clients in Argentina. We just opened the base in Buenos Aires. And of course, we have our AOC in Brazil. We are working on an AOC in Mexico as well. So as you can see, we cover, let's say, almost the 5 continents.
The whole world, basically.
Almost the whole world, yeah.
And even on that point, right? So again, you're covering all 5 continents, right? Latin America, Europe, Africa, Asia Pacific, the Middle East, very diverse operation. One thing that's unique, or one aspect that's always tied to ACMI, is seasonality, right? And part of that seasonality is having the busy summers, quieter winters. How do you as Avion Express manage that cycle? And how do you prepare pilots as well to enter into operating in such a seasonal-based business?
Yeah, the seasonality is something belonging, is a word attached to the ACMI, but I think it belongs to, let's say, a few years ago, when the ACMI concept was, as you said, seasonal. Since 10 years ago, this seasonality, this seasonal word was more attached to ACMI. Nowadays, we cannot do that anymore, because basically we are working in winter almost with the same number of the summer. As you can see, we move from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, switching when it's becoming winter here in Lithuania, in Vilnius. In the southern hemisphere, is becoming summer, and of course the amount of flights is at the moment is not the same, almost the same. We cover this difference of flight hours with focusing more on the training. So basically, we take the winter, our winter, as a period to focus to renew the certificates of the pilots, all the training needed, and sometimes with the maintenance of the aircraft. Of course, the scheduled maintenance, not the maintenance that we need to fly. And that's how we killed this seasonal linkage with ACMI.
On that point, now on the other side, or on the other side of the coin of seasonality, there's a common perception that with seasonality, there's a bit of an unpredictable nature to it, right? With the different seasons changing and you needing to adapt your operations. But when you look at Avion Express, one, you already have a strong pool of pilots, right, who are with you all year round. How, or what do you say to pilots coming into Avion or into the ACMI environment about the stability as well as the long-term opportunities of ACMI?
Every pilot has different needs, of course. We have pilots that are planning to spend the winter at home because they came to Avion Express, and as you said before, they thought Avion Express is an ACMI, so in the winter I will be in unpaid leave at home. And some other pilots, they want to work. So to meet the requirement of all the pilots, it's almost impossible. As I said, in winter we are working almost like the summer, so we take this difference to give the chance to this small amount of pilots requesting unpaid leave to go in unpaid leave. Unfortunately, sometimes we can make them happy and sometimes we cannot, because as I said, our winter is really busy. So depends on the clients. We have a commercial team that is working very hard around the world, collecting new clients every day. And to predict the activity in summer is quite easy because it's already covered. But for the winter, as you said, is not that easy.
Now, one of the unique things about the conversation that we're having, especially talking to you, you have the view, or a dual view, of having flown for the airline and now as chief pilot in a more leadership role. What would you say are some of the biggest advantages for ACMI operations from the airline's perspective, as well as for pilots as well?
For the airlines, I mean, for the client, you can think about Avion Express as a wild card. Basically, we are the wild card of the clients. When the clients cannot make it in summer, they have Avion Express to cover their flights. From their perspective, it's very good because if they had to cover all the flights during summer, they should buy more aircraft, they should hire more pilots, and all these aircraft and all these pilots in winter season, they should be grounded. So using, I mean, it's a bad word, but using Avion Express, they don't have to do this basically. They don't have to hire more pilots and buy new aircraft for the summer since there is Avion Express who is covering their needs in summer. And in winter, they don't have the issue to lay off the pilots and lay off the aircraft. So this is very good for the client side because they can, I don't know how they plan in advance, but maybe in January, February, they try to understand, can we make it in summer? No. Okay, there is Avion Express. And their issues, their need can be different in different cases. They might have an issue with the aircraft. They call Avion Express. They might have issue with the crew number. They call Avion Express. So they know that they have, let's say, a parachute, and we are their parachute. We don't sell tickets. We sell readiness, safety, and that's how they feel safe to cover every period of the year.
I like that you mentioned safety there, because on the other side of it, there are some challenges that do come with ACMI. How do you tackle those challenges as Avion Express? And in particular, how do you help prepare your crews as well as your operations as well to maintain that safety and just operational viability?
Yeah, as I said before, we issue this yellow and blue message to all our crew to maintain this safety level always high, adapting the procedure to the new base and the new clients. We, as you said before, we have our own simulator. So in case of a special airport, we can provide special training for that airport to the pilots going to that base. So they saw the airport already in the simulator and they will not be surprised. We have a great safety department analyzing the statistic of the safety and providing us in flight operation the information on where we have to focus for the safety events. So in a way that we can brief our pilots to avoid this safety event in the future. So basically, as I said before, we are covering for the safety 360 degrees the scenario the pilots are going to meet in the new bases.
Now, one of the interesting things that I found as I was, looking into Avion and even just preparing for this interview is you have this one statement. It's a unique statement, and it's also a very bold statement. You call yourself the airline for airlines, right? A very bold and strong statement to put out into the market. How would you describe the flying experience with Avion Express?
The flying experience, it's a matter, as I said before, of versatility. You see this airplane, white airplane in a German base flying for the client, and you think, okay, I mean, if you are in ACMI world, you know that is an aircraft of Avion Express. But once the passenger, which is not aware of what ACMI is, jump inside the aircraft, he will not understand. He will think he's flying for the client. So the way we adapt to the new base and the new client, this is our power. And I can mention actually that a few days ago, I was doing this base closure meeting with the clients in Europe, 2 clients, and they were so amazed and surprised about our service. We become the client 100%, and nobody knows.
Now, having worked with the airline for a long period of time now, and also being within this ACMI environment, a diverse environment, and the word keeps coming up, a versatile environment. How has that shaped your own leadership approach, especially within the ACMI models and as you communicate to your pilots?
Yeah, to be in my role as a chief pilot in Avion Express, I think, not because I am in the position, but I think it's harder than a normal airline chief pilot. Since in a normal airline, you have everything is a routine. So your pilot are doing a routine. They know where to go. They know what to expect. They know basically everything. The time zone is one, or I mean, they fly from the same base. So in Avion Express, I mean, the chief pilot of Avion Express, this poor guy, has to deal with like 10 time zones, maybe from Argentina to Europe to Antalya, Turkey to Vietnam, which you can imagine is already demanding because when there is a flight in afternoon in Argentina, for me it's night. When there is a flight early morning in Vietnam, for me it's night. And I can tell you that all the pilots, they have my private phone number. I have a company number I never used. So they know that they can reach me 24/7. Hopefully for night at night time they will reach me only for serious issues. And it's the same with the OCC, which is our operation office that are working 24/7, and crewing as well is working 24/7. MCC, which is the maintenance center, is working 24/7. They can reach me as well 24/7. So for me, it's really demanding from under this point of view. On the other point of view, it's a satisfaction for me because, as I said, all the time I receive good feedback either from the pilot, from the client, or from the management. This is my fuel that push me every day to do better and better.
And I think, just listening to you and how there's such a high level of access that your pilots have to you and and to the wider Avion Express leadership as well. It's such a unique quality for a company that's so diverse and that's so versatile to have, in terms of having that access. And you're constantly on your toes, as you mentioned, right? Managing the different time zones, your pilots all in different time zones and operating efficiently, safely, right, to the standard of Avion Express. Now, sometimes the ability to do that is always having a future and forward view, right, in terms of preempting and preparing for what's coming in the future. What is your vision for Avion Express in terms of looking forward in the ACMI industry, as well as just ACMI in the broader industry?
I think ACMI has, let's say, a very good future in front of us in general, but I'm speaking about us because this model has been growing up in the last 20 years. We've been operating 20 years. I mean, yeah, we have a short parenthesis for the COVID, but we've been growing every year. Why? How do we grow? We grow because we do things good. We are safe, and we make our own commercial about ourselves. So clients are watching us operating for other clients, and they said, my competitor is using Avion Express this year, and maybe next year I'll have to use it as well, since my competitor overtook me, for example. I don't know, but for sure, how you operate, it's the guarantee that you're going to have more work for the next year. As I said before, if the client is congratulating you every day for what you've done, for sure your job will increase next year. Even with the same client asking for more flight hours, or even with new clients coming up from the experience they saw with the competitors.
When you look at the bigger picture, right, especially putting aviation in context where the past 5 years or so have been, very interesting for the industry. We saw the complete downturn of traffic. We've seen traffic now resurge where it's at its highest levels ever. Staying on that bigger picture, What makes you most proud of being part of this industry and being part of Avion Express?
Well, as I said, if you do your job in a safe way and in a good way, in a way that people are very happy about what you've done, this is the boost for all of us in the office. Because when we do the meeting, we have a weekly meeting with the clients, and I'm not the only one who's participating. Many management person, people, and other chief from other department are participating. They can all hear the happiness of the client to who we are providing the service. And this is something that make us all proud of what we are doing. And it's true. Actually, we must be proud of what we are doing because we are doing it good.
If you could share one thought with, any of the pilots listening to this about the flight experience within Avion Express, about the leadership and culture within the airline, what would you say to them?
Avion Express, as I said, is an ACMI that offer you a service that other airlines don't offer you. And I think I'm gonna be a little bit long on this, but I wanna tell you exactly what I mean. The pilot job, let's say 25 years ago, was a dream job for everybody. It's still a dream job nowadays, but 25 years ago, the pilots were treated differently. When I say differently, I mean that if 25 years ago you were flying for an airline to New York, you stay in New York 1 week, you get the chance in 1 week to visit USA, and after 1 week you come back home. This is what was happening 20 years ago, before the famous low cost were joining the aviation world. So basically 20 years ago, you could travel around the world and visit the world you were traveling to. Nowadays, even a major airline, like, I'm not going to mention that, but you can imagine how many major airline we have. You fly for a major airline, so people think, you're a pilot of this major airline. You visit the world constantly every week. Unfortunately, it's not the same anymore, because even major airline are sending you to the other side of the world. Today you fly to Tokyo, you stay 24 hours in Tokyo. In 24 hours, you have to understand where you are, what time is it, you have to rest, and then after 24 hours, you have to go back to the aircraft and fly back to your base. This means that you don't have the chance to visit the world. You are traveling around the world, but you're not visiting. You've been in a hotel in Tokyo, but you don't know nothing about Japan. So why did I was so long in explaining how our job has changed during the last 25 years? Because with Avion Express, you still have the chance to travel around the world and to visit the world as well. Because if you are a pilot of Avion Express and the crew planning decide to send you to Cancun, you're gonna spend 33 days in Cancun. So the major airline pilot is going to spend 24 hours in Cancun. Believe me, you will not be able to not even go to the beach in Cancun. If you join Avion Express and you go to Cancun, in 33 days, you still have a lot of days off that allow you to visit Mexico like no one else can let you do like this. So Avion Express experience is totally different compared to a normal airline. So this dream pilot job that used to be in the past a dreaming job, actually is a dream job only if you fly for an ACMI. And we are the biggest one, so I don't want to sound too much, sure about what I'm saying, but I have many colleagues flying for other airlines, and I can tell you, they fly on the other side of the world. They spend 24 hours there, and they come back. And believe me, they are not happy about this.
It's really interesting that you've just given this comparison of the two different timelines, right? Of how flying was, let's say 20 years ago to how flying is today. Now let's put that in perspective. if future generations of aviators and pilots were to look back on this era of aviation and this era of pilots and how they're flying today, what would you have them say about the pilots that led it and the pilots that are currently flying now? What would you have them say about it?
Oh, yeah, it depends how farther you want to push yourself in the future. Because I think, I don't know, maybe 50, 80 years, pilot job, I don't know if it's going to be still available as a job because, I mean, sooner or later, the aircraft will be flown by the ground. I mean, the people will fly on drones. Luckily for us, it's not going to happen in the near future. So I think for the next 50 years, my job is covered. But talking about our world as a CMI world, the future people can say that Avion Express has built in 20 years a new way of approaching the CMI concept, because we started 20 years ago with almost without knowing what the future was deserving to us. And now we built a world that many airlines are copying, because 20 years ago we were the only one, and now we have many competitors. So it means that our business model has been copied a lot.
That is just fantastic to hear and great insight into Avion Express as an airline. Again, to put it into context, you're leading in the industry, right? You are trailblazing in terms of setting the standard for ACMI operations, especially the pilot experience as well. Reflecting on your career so far, what advice would you give to future pilots in terms of flying with Avion Express?
A future pilot, it depends. I mean, if they are experienced and they want to join us, I already mentioned what I said before, that the kind of flight is going to be different. You will really get the chance to visit the world, not only travel around the world, for experienced pilots. For the cadets joining the world now, the aviation world now, I would say to stay humble, really, really humble. Study a lot, ask questions to who is more experienced than you, and be patient. Be patient. Don't rush your career too fast. And especially in Avion Express, which is called the airline of opportunities, for sure, if you follow my suggestions, you study, you stay humble, you will get the chance to grow up pretty fast. I am an example. I arrived here as a normal captain, and then now I am a chief pilot, instructor, examiner, etc., etc. So if you do good, for sure, especially in Avion Express, you will have the chance pretty soon to grow up your career.